So today is Wednesday, and this is the third hour of the show. It's Manhood Hour. Manhood, rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. I am Skyping with Cody Rutland, entrepreneur and member of the Bay Area Proud Boys. Cody, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Jesse. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, buddy. What is Proud Boys?
Well, Proud Boys is a fraternal organization based around the promotion of Western chauvinism, Western culture, being an entrepreneur, venerating the housewife, and generally getting guys off the couch and back to being men.
And you say Western chauvinism. What is that?
It's promoting Western culture. It's being proud of being an American, being proud of, if you're in Europe, being proud of European. Basically being proud of the fact that the West is the best. You know, Western culture has created the modern world, and we're not going to apologize for being a part of that.
So are you the Bay Area Proud Boys, are they alt-right boys?
No, we've been considered Alt-Lite is what we've been considered. We agree with the alt-right, I guess you could say, on certain aspects without the racial, white nationalism. We have all different races and ethnicities and whatnot in the Proud Boys.
The racial white nationalism, is there something wrong with that?
In my personal opinion, I don't believe so personally. I think everybody should be proud of their own culture. As a fraternity and as an organization, that's not our motive. But everybody has their own personal ideology. I don't think there's anything wrong with white people being proud of being of European descent, just like I don't think there's anything wrong of Mexican people being proud of being Mexican or black people being proud of being of African descent.
Why now? Why did you guys decide to do this now? And where have you been for the last 27 years?
Hiding in fear from being considered a racist or a male chauvinist and getting the feminists on us, or here or there for hate speech. Everything we say at this point seems to wind up on the Southern Poverty Law Center or the APL for some sort of, baloney this or baloney that. But the fraternity was started by a man named Gavin McInnes in 2016. And Gavin McInnes is one of the co-founders of Vice magazine. And he started seeing things going a certain way and decided, you know what? I'm going to start a little fraternity and see where it goes. It started off as a little thing kind of amongst a group of his buddies, and it slowly really has just grown into its own organic organism, and it's become its own entity.
And so did President Trump give white people, and especially white guys, the courage to come out and speak up and stand up for what is right? Is it due to the president?
No, I wouldn't say it's specifically due to the president, but I think he did really shine a light on what's going on. I mean, if you look in the United States and all across Europe, white people are becoming a minority. I mean, even the left talks about it. Whoopi Goldberg says it on her show with a smile on her face. I have 4 white children, right? So for people to think that every single white American is a racist because they're concerned about the well-being of their family and their children, it's malarkey. It's preposterous to think that just because I'm worried about a future for my children being forced out of the workforce by affirmative action or being told that they're the cause of all the wrongs and misdoings in the world, it's not something I'm going to participate in. I'm not going to partake in raising my kids to think that they're of a lower this or a lower that. Like, I don't think anybody should do that to their children. I think everybody should tell their children, this is our culture. This is how we do things. The problem with multiculturalism and diversity is it's now being forced upon us to the point where we can't actually enjoy the diversity, right?
Yeah.
We can't enjoy one thing or the other because they're trying to make everything one hodgepodge of nothingness. Nobody can have a race because race doesn't exist anymore, right? But all cultural foods, traditions, it comes from race, right?
Yep. But what I want to understand, you said you guys were afraid of it, not afraid, but one of the reasons I haven't seen or heard from you before now is because you would be called racist, sexist, chauvinist, and as Hillary Clinton called President Trump. But you're still being called all those names and then some. Why have the courage now but not have it? You didn't have it before now.
That's a good question. We finally just said, let's try it out. Let's see kind of what happens. And the simplest thing we did was, hey, let's support our president. Let's try that. Let's support the guy who's leading our country and see where it goes. And not all of us are Trump guys. I was personally a Cruz guy in the beginning because I'm a stats and numbers guy. I like the way Cruz held his stats and numbers. But I started getting tired of what was happening in the world with everybody being afraid to speak.
Yeah.
So when Trump went along and said the whole Rosie O'Donnell thing, I was like, oh, I'm on the Trump train. This is my guy, personally, because I'm tired of it. I'm a nice guy. I'm respectful. But there's a point where I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not going to get beaten down for nothing. So we as a whole have decided to say, screw it. Let's see what happens. And we're to the point now, no matter what we do, what we say, they're going to call us racist. So I really don't care anymore.
So is it just in the Bay Area or is it nationwide?
No, it's not only nationwide, but we now have a chapter in Mexico. We have a chapter in Australia. We have chapters in the UK. They're growing rapidly. We have chapters all over the United States. It started in New York with Gavin McInnes's first group of Proud Boys, and then pretty much spread because we live in an age where you can contact anybody on the face of the earth at any time with one of these little gadgets right here. So
yeah,
social media has been good to us.
Is it Proud Boys only for white boys?
No. It's a men's fraternal organization. We do have a branch called Proud Boys Girls that's more of a sorority because we do venerate the housewife. I've made videos before speaking out on behalf of housewives. They're the unheard voice of American women and women across the globe that want to stick to a traditional role, whether it be a biblical role or just a culturally traditional role of staying home at the house, right, catering to the family.
Yeah.
The natural order between man and woman has become something unbelievably taboo and offensive to talk about.
I know. I'm amazed by that. That's mind blowing.
Say that again?
That's mind blowing that the natural order of men and women is controversial when you speak about it. Something that's so normal and so right that it's controversial. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, no, everything that has to do with tradition at this point, or really even science-based statistics, mathematical facts.
Yeah.
If you bring numbers into a conversation, numbers are and facts and science are just a byproduct of, European colonialism, white patriarchy. So there's really no winning when it comes to it if you get into a debate with some of these people because they always move the goalposts. They always have a new way of defending their baloney,
I want you to respond to a text I just received. It says, it's hard to take these guys serious, but it's a start. How do you respond to that?
I understand. There's some people out there that won't agree with the way we do things because we are a fraternity. A lot of the way that the media has spun stuff when we're out and about, we're having some beers and we're fooling around and just being guys. But that's the problem. People say it's hard to take us seriously when we're out just being guys. We're at the bar with other dudes being dudes, because we've been so conditioned that if a guy goes out with a bunch of guys, drinks beer, says, USA, USA, starts slugging each other around and messing around, that all of a sudden we're a bunch of clowns and we shouldn't be taken seriously. We need to get back to camaraderie, right? Men need to have the ability to surround themselves with other men and act like men. All nations and all civilizations were built by men that went out, sat around a fire, drank some mead or some ale, and kicked the crap out of other people until civilizations were built, right? And they did the same thing in return to protect their culture, to protect their families, their children. There's nothing wrong with being masculine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with going out and acting like a man.
Chauvinists and sexists and misogynists and 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 chauvinists and sexists.
Who's that? That's Hillary Clinton? That's amazing. Cody, I want to, one of my guys here want to talk to you in a minute about some things.
Sure.
But I think what's going on is that I'm getting all this information, about you not taking, you guys can't be taken seriously and all that. What I see has happened in this country is that white people have been accused of being racist for so long. Like for 60 years, we've been hearing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And white people have not stood up and defended themselves. They have allowed an image to be created about them. And so a lot of folks hate white people. They literally hate them unjustified, but it's not justified. But they hate them because white people have not stood up. And now, as a result of, and when you hate someone, as you know, when you hate someone, you don't see them for who they really are. You see them out of the darkness of your own imagination, your own hatred. You're not looking at reality.
Right.
And so now we have a president who is not afraid to speak up. He stand up, he fight back, he call it what it is. He doesn't care what you think. And he's a white, male, conservative Christian with power, power.
It's everything they hate wrapped in one package.
Yeah. And so now that you guys are coming out, you're finally coming out and speaking up, most people have been brainwashed to think that you're racist, so they are seeing it as hate and not seeing it as human beings standing up for what is right and saying no to the children of the lie. Even decent people are, because of their anger and lies that they have believed about white people, they are going to see you guys as being Nazi crazy folks. Am I right about that?
You're totally right. So there's a book, I can't think of the author's name right now, but the book is called On Killing, and it talks about in wartime how you dehumanize the enemy to a point that they're no longer human, right?
Yeah.
If they were to debate us and sit down and talk to me, learn about my family, learn about my history, learn about my life, I would become human to them. Then it would be much harder for them emotionally because no species wants to wipe itself out naturally. That's conditioning.
Yeah. You're talking about
venomous snakes wrestle. Venomous snakes don't bite each other. Right?
That's right. But even if they sat and talked to you and guys like you who are coming out and standing up, unless they let their anger go, there's nothing you can do could convince them. They can see your family, they can have dinner, but because of that anger, they are blinded from the truth. They are still going to see you as a racist.
Yeah, there's nothing we can really do to change their mind at a certain point.
Yeah.
And the thing about our group is we don't self-deprecate. We don't loathe ourselves. We have black members, we have Asian members, we have Mexican members, we have white members. If any one of them of any background were to say, this or that or blah, 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 just, that's not what we stand for. We're proud. Right? We're proud to be who we are. I don't capitulate to anybody, and I don't apologize for being who I am.
Yeah. Well, angry people, they prejudge. And
right.
So
they're coming from a partisan point of view.
Yes.
They're not looking at it from a center analogy. It's really just, I already have this idea about somebody. there's no reason for me to think differently because it's not going to change my outcome.
I have in studio here my intern,
Dylon.
Dylon. I started to say
man?
Dylan, but Dylon. And he wanted to ask you something or make a point.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. You're great. I was just wondering what you think about white genocide, and do you buy into that theory that, you know, white people are being slowly, a slow genocide against them is being executed?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Look at South Africa and the war on the Boers. White millennials are not having children. Millennials in general, but as an American country, the United States country goes, whites until 1965 were the majority, right?
Yeah, and the laws were set up.
Ever since we changed our immigration policies, which technically catered to Europeans because they assimilated better to American culture. It was based off of a European culture, right? We start bringing in all of these different, you know, foreign countries that don't necessarily see things the way they do. And look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at certain parts of Los Angeles, certain parts of the Bay Area. I mean, you have small clusters of towns that don't even learn English, that won't associate outside of their groups and their own cultures. So, but the thing is a lot of these foreign countries and foreigners that come over here still practice the same traditional things they did in their country, which is marry, have children, start a family. And they have multiple kids. And then you have right now this whole Marxist indoctrination in our school system that teaches whites, you are bad. You reproducing creates more evil in the world, so don't do it. We need Planned Parenthood, abortions on speed dial. Don't get into a monogamous relationship. You know, polygamy is the way to go. It's the new. It's progression. You know, don't put a ring on it. Wait until you're a 35-year-old woman. Your ovaries dry up. You're no longer able to do what you're naturally predisposed to do, and then. You know,
and then you'll be having it all.
About it after.
You'll be having it all.
Right.
Thank you, Jason.
So I have a saying that says a decaying civilization is the byproduct of decadence. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is a decaying civilization only comes when the natural order of things become irrelevant and everybody becomes a degenerate and lives above their means, and everything is pleasure now, pleasure, instant gratification. The problem is nobody thinks about the future. And a lot of these people in politics, like Merkel, for instance, who is completely letting her country go. Yeah. Right? She doesn't have children. She has no technical future of her own to worry about, because no matter what you do or you say, especially in politics, because everything is mouth service, lip service, whatever you want to call it. When it comes down to it, if you don't have children, you don't own a business, you don't have a family, you're not going to think about what laws pass like we have in California where they're trying to force vaccines on your kids or take your kids away. That doesn't affect a lot of people. Let
me ask this. I'm going to have to thank you, Dallin. I appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Dallin.
I'm going to have to, at the bottom of this hour, we have some phone calls for you. And so my producer's going to come in and take over and take some calls for you.
Sure.
And I have so many more things I want to talk to you about, so I may have to bring you back.
That's fine.
But I do want to know, before we go to this break, why did white people stop having a truckload of children, and now if they have them, they only have one or two?
Well, think about it. Like I was saying, there's this indoctrination right now, right? That we've been fed this lie that whites are evil. We're naturally good people, right? I mean, a majority of Western Europeans are Christian, you know, and Christianity teaches you to be thoughtful, turn the cheek, that whole, you know, kind of thing. Just be compassionate people. So it's easy for us to self-deprecate and see these images that were always plastered in our face of the Jim Crow Act, of slavery, of what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on over here in these other places. Were there atrocities that occurred in the past? Yes, but we're being told that it's still our fault.
But that's not a reason.
So this new generation comes about and says, I don't want to participate in that.
That's not a reason not to have more babies, though. I want you guys to make a lot of babies.
I got 4 of them.
Okay.
So.
All right, back in a moment.
We're working on a 5th.
Back in a moment, folks.
I could All right, we're back. This is the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show. I'm James Hake, Jesse's racist producer, filling in for 20 minutes probably. He's out on another interview, but stay tuned because we still are on with Cody Rutland. And Cody is an entrepreneur, and he's a member of the Proud Boys, a leader, I would say, in my opinion. I've seen him on Facebook, and I invited him on the program to talk about the Proud Boys, which are new to me. I had heard of them first by seeing somebody who was a Trump supporter who called himself a Proud Boy in his Twitter profile, and I believed it to be, I just assumed because proud, usually when you hear the word proud, it sounds like something like pro-gay. So I thought it was something pro-gay, but it's totally not. They're open to everybody. They're open to Christians, non-Christians, whites, non-whites, everybody. Cody is here to talk about that, and I was encouraged by some of the guys like Cody, and there was another guy named Based Stickman who was at the 100 Days Trump celebration up in Mount Baldy that I told everybody about a few weeks back. That guy, Based Stickman, talked about whites and everybody have kids, be confident, and be men, be able-bodied, and be entrepreneurs and all of that. And Cody's talking about the same thing. Cody, it's good to have you on the program.
Thanks, James. Good to see you.
Do you want to take some calls?
Sure.
All right, let's go out to Nashville, Tennessee, and talk to Jarvis. Jarvis, how you doing?
What's up, man?
Hey. You have a
I was gonna say about the nationalistic thing. I was hoping I didn't even know Jesse was gonna leave. I was gonna tell him that the nationalistic way is to me is a good push because that's a push that I'm pushing now.
Yeah, exactly.
On my end, as far as getting people to look like me to do stuff themselves and help each other and getting abortions and things of that nature. So. Well, I know some people that disagree with him because he might be a white nationalist, but like he said, I agree with him that you should care enough about people who look like you to tell them, do this for that particular culture because everybody got their own.
Yeah.
And I do agree about the multiculturalism. I most definitely wouldn't do that. I don't believe in that either. So.
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing for him to push. We pushing it on our end, so it be in our best interest to do it on the outside too. So.
Yeah, Cody, Jarvis is a longtime listener of Jesse Lee Peterson, and Jesse kind of changed his mind about things, and he is now fighting for. He's kind of like a Tea Party, but he's like a militant Tea Party. He goes in and confronts Black Lives Matter, and he's not about this multiculturalism thing. He's telling blacks to wake up, stop having abortions, don't get involved with Black Lives Matter because they're not about family, they're not about what's right, they're about hating cops and everything. So
I don't just go to them. I don't discriminate on which group I'm gonna go in at.
Yeah,
it can call themselves Republican or a Democrat or whatever the case may be. I don't discriminate.
Yeah, whether they're wrong, whether they're Republicans or Democrats.
Yeah, wrong is wrong, right? Go after the bad guys.
Yep. And that's what we need because we've been letting the rhinos who have been leading the Republican Party just let Obama get away with everything. Let Bush get away with everything. Everything.
That goes back to the idea of just really being afraid and capitulating, being afraid to step out and say anything. If you're white and you say anything, you're racist. You can bring up stats, criminal records, numbers on anything, and it's racist, no matter what we say.
Yep.
So it's to the point now where, look at what the Polish people did to the Germans, and the Ukrainian people did to the German minorities, right? That's how you get Nazis. These people want something that's not there. And if they want it, they're on the right path to getting it because they're constantly berating whites, telling them that they're pieces of crap, that they're useless, that there's this. We have it right now to where there's TV shows, right? Television network shows that are called Dear White People.
Right.
But heaven forbid it were to say Dear Black People, Dear Brown People, dear Jews, dear Muslims. If it said anything other than dear white people, there would be a storm everywhere, right? But because we're so tolerant, I'm sorry for the
don't
use of
cuss
my
on the
foul
radio.
language, but anything you do or say that doesn't fit the narrative makes you a racist or a hater or a bigot, when that's not the case.
Right.
Every culture has the right to stand up for themselves.
And
Everyone.
also, any black person, any Mexican guy, any Asian who supports conservatism or even just what's right, whether they're liberal or conservative, they're labeled as just a token.
Right. Well, look at what happens. And I grew up in a primarily Hispanic school. Myself and my little brother and maybe one or two other kids were sprinkled into the group with blonde hair. The rest were all Hispanic, right?
Yeah.
What I would see is the minute anybody, including myself, but anybody that was Hispanic started doing good in school and getting good grades, all of a sudden like, oh, teacher's pet, you're a dummy, you're a teacher's pet, what a nerd, and they get picked on.
Right.
So these minds, and it happens in a lot of minority schools, not just my experience, but experiences. My wife has told me the same thing.
Yep. Me too.
Experiencing that in school, as soon as she started doing good, she was a nerd or the problem is we're closing minds that could potentially help change the planet simply because people aren't willing to say, hey, there's a natural order to things. Let's, focus where focus needs to be put.
Yeah.
Rather than shutting everybody's mind.
Jarvis, how many kids do you have?
I got 3.
Nice.
Good job.
What I was going to tell him is that the best way for white people to help themselves out, y'all need to most definitely focus down in tunnel vision on y'all liberal element of people. That's bringing a lot of these other so-called groups into the forefront because black people only got like maybe 2% of the wealth in this country. So they're getting subsidized and funded by the liberal element of white people. So that's who y'all enemy is really right there.
Right.
And y'all liberal element. Y'all need to watch out for them. They undermine y'all at every front. Every front y'all come up with, they undermine it. So that's what y'all need to watch out for.
That's true. Thank you, Jarvis.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jarvis.
All right. Well, we have Esteban from Peoria, Arizona. How's it going, Esteban?
Hey, pretty good, James. Thanks for taking my call.
Good. Cool.
Hey, Cody. I just wanted to thank you for what you're doing. It's really important.
Esteban, hang on a moment. Let's go to a quick break. We'll be back in a moment, Cody. Cody, before we get back to Esteban, you want to tell about what you're doing as an entrepreneur a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a blacksmith. I'm taking a craft that's been dying for a long time and bringing it back to life.
Nice.
So I've gone out there. I've used social media to get my presence known, and I'm out there making all kinds of cool stuff out of metal.
That's cool. How'd you get into that?
Well, my father, before he passed away, I was really young when he passed away, was a welder, and he messed around with some blacksmithing and stuff. And my grandfather was a machinist, so I grew up in a machine shop. I grew up around metal. It's in my blood. It's in all of our blood, if you think about it. That's why our blood is red, is because we've got iron in there.
Nice.
So, iron workings in all of us.
That's cool. Were you at any of the Berkeley appearances of the Proud Boys?
Yeah. So the first one that made Kyle kind of, bass stick man, I wasn't at that event. The one after that, so I think that's when we're starting to call it 2.0, where Antifa showed up in numbers and it got real crazy. Yeah, we were at that one, and I was working the security detail with some other Proud Boys protecting Lauren Southern.
Okay. So to the listeners, the Proud Boys showed up and helped protect the Trump supporters, the free speech activists, including Lauren Southern, who's a libertarian activist from Canada who flew into Berkeley to support free speech. And the Proud Boys, including you, Cody, were part of security helping to protect these people.
Yeah. So the thing about that was, in general, they say that we show up and the conservatives show up to beat people up and blah, 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 and cause a fight. But this last one showed perfectly when the police did their jobs and didn't have a stand down order. It was completely peaceful. We had people of opposing ideologies coming up and talking to us.
That's cool.
And we had cordial conversations the whole time. The second one, the police had pretty much taken off. So it was us against them.
Yeah,
but
Antifa
attacking us. Yeah, the Antifa communist thugs were attacking us personally, throwing rocks the size of a human head.
Yeah.
Macing people. They hit a guy on the head with a bike lock and split his head open.
I saw that.
But
yeah.
They're cowardly about it. They weasel in from the back of the crowd. They mace people when they're talking. Like Jesse had said earlier, they have a predisposed idea of what we are. So they don't see us as human.
Yeah.
They see us as Nazi scum. That's what they call us, Nazi scum. So
that's shameful. Let's go out to Esteban out of Peoria, Arizona. Esteban, you're back on with Cody.
Hey, thanks, James.
Yeah.
Hey, Cody. What I wanted to ask you was that I have 4 boys. It seems like we have a lot of the same views and things, and but I wanted to ask you. I just recently woke up. I used to be one of those guys that would capitulate, do those things, and you got to be a nice guy, and I've recently just woken up and just seen all these things going around. I'm basically in Phoenix, Arizona, but I want to ask you: is there any? How do you get involved? How do you start? Because there's certain things like when you guys go out there and do security. Where did you guys get together? How do you learn all this? How do you? Cause I really want to get involved, and I really want to be a part, of this movement. But I look around, and all I see is the other side just getting one up on us. I just recently read something where this drag queen is reading story time to kids in libraries, like in California and in New York. They get the forefront. They get on the front page of everything. What is your suggestion for me? What should I do? What can I do?
Good question, and thank you for asking. The best thing to do is hop on Facebook, hop on social media, and search for local chapters. I know for a fact, because I have a few friends in it, that there are a few Arizona chapters of Proud Boys. Just, search on Facebook for local chapters of Proud Boys in your area. Anybody that's listening also. And something will pop up. We're growing rapidly because we have people like you specifically that are like, where do I turn to? Where can I go? I have this certain viewpoint, but if I express it, I'll lose my friends. And I call it the conservative closet. We're all stuck in the conservative closet until we finally bust out. I'm here, and it gets to the point where there's enough of us now that we take care of each other. We have each other's backs, we build really good relationships. I go to barbecues with these guys, and they know my wife, and they've met my kids, and I've met their kids. Men need camaraderie. Men need to be around other men. It's just the natural order of things. We need to be able to see who can lift the heavier thing, who can drink a beer faster. It's just kind of, it's how we are as men. We're just being separated from other men to express who we are because we're afraid of being called misogynists or male chauvinists. So get involved in a local chapter, bro, and you'll see what it's like, and it's great.
Cody, quick question before I get back to you, Esteban.
Go ahead.
What are some comebacks when you're called a racist, or have you been called a racist?
All the time. I can't say most of it on air, but to the point now, I just say, okay, cool, whatever you think.
Nice.
What is a racist? What is a racist?
Right. Exactly.
And when you ask somebody what is a racist, they have the same answer, and they say, you want to control and dominate and rule the world. Like, you guys are a little too fantasy book here.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it. Even if you go as far right as you can go with the Richard Spencers and the Jared Taylors, all they want is to be really left alone.
Why not? Why not rule the world? Hey, Esteban, I'm going to put you on hold.
Have you ever gone to Funky Town?
Yeah, I've been to Funky Soul.
But never Funky Town?
No.
Cody, I want to have you back soon because I want to talk to you about the family, about men, about love and hate and everything.
I would love to come back anytime you'd like.
Okay, so have you been to jail before?
I have.
That's why you have the tattoo things?
No, these aren't. I spent 17 years as a tattooer. I was a degenerate when I was younger.
I understand.
I've since seen the light, and I've grown up a bit.
And so you put those there yourself?
I didn't do them myself. These were done by friends.
And what was the significance of doing it? At the time you had it done, you said, I'm going to have tattoos put around my eyes. For what reason? What was going on?
Multiple reasons. One of them, I was really young. I was probably 17, 18 when I did it. I grew up in kind of a rough part of town, and it was more of a stay away from me so I don't have to deal with the gangbangers and stuff like that. And then, I threw another one on there as a way of saying, well, I'm a tattooer. I never want to have a 9-to-5 job. I always want to be an entrepreneur and go out there and make my own money, own my own businesses, kind of stuff like that.
Right.
But once again, I could have done that without the face tattoos, but hey, here I am now, looking like the scary ex-con dad at the PTA meetings.
That's right. Did you get beat up by black people when you were younger?
No, I didn't grow up in a neighborhood that was primarily black. It was Mexican.
Really?
I grew up in a town that was 90% Hispanic, and there was a large gang population.
And they would attack the whites?
Yeah, I got beat up a lot for being the wedo. So yeah, me and my brother, we were a few of only the white kids in our school. We did get beat up often, but then I'm 6 foot, 250 pounds now. I got bigger. The beating up started to stop.
Right on. That's amazing. So were we talking to Esteban or something?
Yeah, we were, but he went away.
Oh, he's back.
Oh.
Okay, we're out of time, folks. I apologize. Stephanie from the Midwest, Esteban, and others. We'll be back tomorrow. And Cody, we're going to have you back. Did you give out your website? You did all that already?
I don't have a specific website, but if you go to proudboys.com, that'll pretty much take you wherever you go. If you go onto Facebook and you type in California Proud Boys, if you're from California, you can also search Proud Boys.
Thank you. I'm out of time. Thank you, buddy. All right,
you
folks.
got it.
Bye.
Have a good one.
All right. Thank you, buddy.
Organization of a New Destiny.